I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis when I was 4 months old via a blood test because I was not very well at all. So mum and dad took me in and they managed to find out what was wrong with me. Cystic fibrosis affected my life. Actually, it's probably made me the person I am. It's actually enhanced my life in a strange way, even though it's going to be a constant fight and battle. But as much as I'm having to make sure I'm constantly exercising and doing everything to keep my health what it is, which is brilliant at the moment, um, it's also made me more determined, driven, and able to achieve a lot of things. And also by doing all of that, I've then surrounded myself and met some pretty amazing people and had some amazing experiences on the way. But on a daily basis, cystic fibrosis affects my life because I'm on about 70 tablets a day. That includes medication, inhalers, and things like that. So obviously that takes up a lot of time. I have to make sure I go down to the gym and do certain training. I have to make sure I get enough rest, get enough food. So it is a constant every single day working on it because even if one day slips, I don't know where I could be. I could end up in hospital and really unwell, and that's not the direction I want to be heading. With CF, I have to eat at least 3,000 calories a day, which is a hell of a lot, because with it, you have to take digestive enzymes, or I do at least, because my pancreas doesn't create them themselves. Also, because of that, then the absorption of food, especially protein and fats, is a lot less. So for me to make sure I'm getting enough nutrition, I then have to make sure I'm eating so many calories to make sure my body's functioning properly. CF is predominantly a lung condition. It affects your lungs, especially if you get unwell and grow bugs and stuff, especially lower airways, which is why it's important to continue doing your training in airway clearance because that's when your lung function starts to drop, is when you start to get ill. But obviously by constantly moving and constantly keeping things working, it keeps you well and also keeps your lung function higher, which is obviously what you want because that's what helps your everyday life. I became a personal trainer because I became very unwell 5 years ago, ended up in hospital on a lot of drips and long lines and a lot of medication. And I sat there one day and I thought, you know what, I've never been in this situation and this is not the life I want. So what can I do to transform my life and get my life back on track? So I retrained as a personal trainer to get my health and fitness as a priority because I wanted to do so much. I wanted to live a normal life and not be in the situation that a lot of people are in. So by retraining, I've actually now healthier than most of my friends, fitter than most of my friends, and it really has changed my life. My own training consists of a lot of strength and weight training, as well as a lot of HIIT cardio, because obviously that's what keeps my lungs in top condition. So training 6 days a week for an hour a day seems to keep me where I'm at today. People with CF can't mix with each other because of cross-infection, which is really hard because it's one of the conditions you'd love to have support from with a friend or something, but you can make each other ill because every person with CF grows different bugs in their lungs. And this, if you were to catch one that your lungs aren't used to, this could be a really serious implication and actually could probably put you in hospital. So we all have to be aware and keep away from each other as much as we can. 4 weeks ago, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro for the Cystic Fibrosis Trust. Mount Kilimanjaro was the hardest experience of my life because it was more of a mentally tough thing. Every single day you'd be walking for hours on end. The higher you got, the harder it got. You got tired. So it was truly a mind over matter. But the people with you just kept you going, as well as all the guides and stuff like that. But it really was more mental than physical for me. On the climb, there were so many amazing people. A few stuck out in particular. There was one guy who had one leg, so he was walking on prosthetics, and he actually was the one that was running around, like first back to the camps, first to the summit. Like, he was pretty amazing. So he, in turn, would keep you going because as soon as you thought, "Oh God, my legs start to ache," you then would think of him, and then he'd be like marching off ahead of you, and you'd be like, "No, I've got to keep going because he's still going." Recently, I've just become a PhD women's ambassador. So what that's going to involve is um, obviously promo events, fitness events for them, advertising them through social media, and obviously in turn they'll do the same. But also just spreading inspiring stories between us all PhD, and also meeting some pretty nice people. There's a lot of things I want to do. There's a lot of things in the pipelines. not quite ever going to be as big as Kilimanjaro probably, but maybe the next one, the Great Wall of China.